Okay, peace and love, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started up. Let me see. Okay, looks like everybody's able to have all their stuff turned on. Okay. All right, how's everybody doing?
Good. Good. Peace and love, family.
Good.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Now, if you're able to, please rise with us and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. Okay.
Stephanie Farr, join the meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, so please rise with us and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. Okay, just stand up straight. Put your heels together so that your feet are at a 45-degree angle and hold your arms up perpendicular. 2 fingers on the right, 5 fingers on the left, and repeat after me. Allah.
Allah.
The Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love. Truth.
Father of love. Truth.
Truth.
Peace. Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector. My guide.
And my salvation.
My salvation.
And my
By night and
salvation.
by day. Excuse me. Through his holy prophet,
Through his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam, Islamism. Okay, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to announce that the meeting is now open. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, Moslem Mission 30 in Columbus, Ohio. I want to just ask that everybody who's in here, who's not a member, all the people that are new, please, in the chat, type your name and location. If you have a title already, Elder Bay, put that on there. Just give us your name, location, and phone number or email. And we also have 2 people calling in. I believe Sister Tara, right? Is in Cleveland? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, I'm here.
All right. And for the person calling in from the 240,
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you still speaking? Okay, for the person calling in from the 240 area code, please state your name and location.
Maryland?
Okay, I'm sorry. I have Stephanie Farr in Maryland. Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, hang on 1 second. All right, Brother Dotson, thank you for putting your name in there. If you can also share your phone number or email. We're gonna get you some information after this is over. Okay, especially if you leave your email, we'll send you some information. To the brother Kevin, also need you to just put your location and email in there. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, I did it last time. You want me to do it every time?
I'm sorry, brother. You good? Okay, so yeah, just brother Dotson.
Man, okay, I mean, I just wanted to be clear.
Thanks, so brother Dotson. We just need you to put your email, and also somebody's on a Galaxy A20. Could you please state your name and location?
That's me.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Oh, okay, you're in there twice.
Tara in Cleveland.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out where to put my name and my email.
Hit the 3 dots and then go to chat.
Okay.
I had to figure it out too.
Okay, so we're able to get started now. I want to thank you all for giving your information. Okay, I want to announce that the meeting is now open, but first and foremost, we always rise. We give the highest praise to the Most High, the Father of the universe, Allah. We always give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality. This is extremely important. Allah willing, I can cover some of the reasons why this is important. And you'll understand why we give honors to this brother, our brother, every time. We also give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, and that's brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honors to all the ADF sheiks and all the faithful boys that make up the grand body of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. We also give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and that's brother E. Millie Ill. Our prophet actually established our government before making the transition. We give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, and that's brother K. Dandridgel, also out of Columbus, Ohio. We give honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America as well, and honors to all you L's and Bays in attendance. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Now, brother Jackson Bey, will you please read the divine constitution and bylaws?
Islam, I rise, giving perfect grace to Allah, to the Prophet Muhammad Ali, and honor to you Muslims. Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the divine constitution and bylaws. Act 1, the Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand bodies of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father, God Allah. But of course, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because of Allah's love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government. Because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, universe ordained, Noble to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful husband. You must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Ali, through the guidance of his father, God. Noble Ali found Moorish American prayer. Allah, the father of the universe, the father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Juali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America. Home office of Noble Juali. Home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Sunday, my sons.
All right, Islamism. Thank you, brother. Okay, before we go into the Quran questionnaire, I just want to cover some things that we discussed on Holy Day in chapter 17. Just some things that I think to speak on. This is going to be really quick. Okay, so going back to chapter 17, this is the chapters 2 through 19 in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. For those that don't know, speak on the life and the works of the Prophet Jesus, and it covers the missing years in Jesus' life that's not found in the Bible. Okay, in chapter 17, Jesus appears after the resurrection. He appears to the Silent Brotherhood in Greece. The Silent Brotherhood this is an international group of enlightened people and enlightened brothers and sisters, light bringers all over the world. And so he appears to them, and he goes throughout Rome. He goes to the priest in Egypt as well, just making an appearance, letting them know that he conquered death. Okay, and so one of the things that I want to speak on real quick, just going to verse 10, just to bring some clarity to this, why this information is actually important and relevant to you here in the here and now. Okay, so in verse 10, Jesus is speaking on bringing you the title to your vast estate. He says, "Behold, for I have risen from the dead with gifts for men. I bring to you the title to your vast estate." Okay, and that right there, verse 10, that corresponds to Romans 8 verses 17 in the Bible. In the King James Version, it says, "And if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified together." And in the New Living Translation, it says, "And since we are his children, we are his heirs. In fact, together with Christ, we are heirs of God's glory." Also in the Geneva Bible, we like to look at the Geneva Bible because that was written published in 1599. So it's kind of closer to what the translation's kind of like more authentic. In that Bible too, you'll see the word more in there, or Moors, describing us. But in Romans 8:17 in the Geneva Bible, it says, "If we be children, we are also heirs, even the heirs of God, and heirs annexed with Christ. If so be that we suffer with him, we may also be glorified with him." So I'm just bringing that up because it clearly signifies in Romans 8:17 that we are all children of God and thereby heirs of his vast estate. But this is something that's often left out, not knocking Christianity, but there's flaws in how it's being taught and brought to the people. Okay, like I was saying on Friday, you have some people like Reverend Ike that try to empower the people, to let them know that God is within them, that they all have the power, that what Jesus did, his life was a template for all of us to follow. You're all supposed to be Jesus. You're all supposed to be the Christ, right? And then that sounds like blasphemy because of the way that some people teach, right? They're not really empowering the people. They're telling you this was a man over here who was God's son and it's only him. But in the Bible, what does it say in Romans 8:17, that we are all God's children, that we are all heirs. Okay, heirs of what? Heirs of this vast estate. Okay, so this is the culmination. The Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. This is the seventh seal. That's why we have the circle 7 Quran on the front of it. I mean the circle 7 Quran. That's why the circle 7's on the front of the Quran. This is the 7th seal. All right, this is bringing it home and helping us to fulfill our true destiny. So when this, is telling you, okay, yeah, Jesus came to bring us the title of our vast estate. And I was just sharing that because that's also in the Bible. So people, they miss that because of being miseducated. And then also in verse 11, back in the Holy Quran, says, all power in heaven and earth is mine. To you, I give all power in heaven and earth. And that's just reinforcing verse 10, just bringing further clarity to what your vast estate is. It's referring to all power in heaven and earth. Okay? All power. In the front of the Quran, in the first chapter, what is our birthright? Does anybody know? What is our birthright described as? Man is the Lord of what?
Man is the Lord of the planet.
And so
Islam. So so this is our vast estate and it's being returned to us. Okay, so we have a high purpose. We fell from this, right? We fell deeper into the flesh, into the carne. In Spanish, that means meat. Right, so we fell deeper into the fleshly nature, the carnal nature. And then in the first chapter, it says our carnal nature was full manifest. It took on a life of its own. It took on a consciousness of its own, which we call the lower self. The body's alive. It wants to stay alive. It has a consciousness. It wants to prolong its life, right? And we fell so deep into that consciousness that we thought that's all that we were, but we're more than that. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast. This is basically all the animal and plant kingdoms, all of that. But he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. Okay, so that's our birthright. We're the Lord of all of this. Okay, we are the vice regents of Allah. Okay, and this is in the Quran of Mecca. In Surah 2, Ayat 30, that Allah placed us here to rule on his behalf. So in Islam, in the chat, it says, so we're all lords. Islam, this is true. And we all have, as the sister Douglas Sell said, we all have that potential. We may not be living up to it, but that's what we will all fulfill that, whether you do it in this lifetime or on another plane of existence. After you, because this is like a school, after you make the transition to here, you'll be doing this in another dimension, or on another level. Okay, and we're not praying to man because just because God is in you, that doesn't mean that you're the all-encompassing, right? Allah is in all of us, on all the planets, everywhere. It's incomprehensible, really, how deep it is, and how huge, or all encompassing. That's just it would make your mind, your head explode to really truly understand what Allah is. Right? It's the foe, and it's they try to say, oh, the devil's over here, and God is up here, but it's like Allah is everything. Right? It's the thing you perceive as being against you. It's the thing that's for you. It's all of that. Everything, every blade of grass, all of that. So it's no, we're not praying to man, but we do recognize Allah within us. That doesn't mean that you're the all-encompassing. Okay, we're a portion of that, and you are what your Father is. Okay, so you're not disconnected. You're not out here on your own. And by going within, which this is returning us to, by going within, you can connect to the higher self, and you can accomplish even greater things. So what this is saying too, going forward in here, which is actually touching on what we're speaking on, verses 10 through 12. All right, in this Quran, what we just read, where Jesus is saying that he brings us the key to the vast estate, and then he clarifies what that means. All power in heaven and earth is mine. To you I give all power in heaven and earth. Right, returning that to us, returning that consciousness of it to us. He's a Christ. It's a consciousness. That's a title. Christ consciousness. Lord is a title. Right, so he's returning that to you. All right, and basically those verses correspond also to verses 28, Matthew verses 28, 18 through 20 in the Bible. When you go to Matthew 28, 18 through 20, it says, verse 18, then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Jesus says this. Then he says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always until the very end of the age. So you can see that corresponds with 10 through 12, where he's telling you about your vast estate, what it comprises, and then to go forth and teach this now. Okay. And moving forward to verse 14, it says, this is the key though. Verse 14 says, what I can do, all men can do. Go teach the gospel of the omnipotence of man. Now that would sound like blasphemy to a lot of people, because that's not being taught. They're not truly empowering people. Once again, this is no attack on Christianity or any religions. It's just that there's a lot of misinformation being put out and limitations being placed on people instead of empowering you. Okay, so this Holy Quran, the seventh seal, is coming to lift those limitations off of you so that you can truly manifest your greatness, so that you can know that Allah is actually within you, and this stuff is in the Bible. So I'm going to verify that within the Bible for people. Okay, because it says in the Holy Quran, what I can do, all men can do. Go teach the gospel of the omnipotence of man. Now that's not blasphemy. Remember, this is Jesus saying this. But if you go to the Bible in John chapter 14, verse 12, what does it say? It says, truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do, because I am going to the Father. Who's saying this? This is Jesus saying this. That's a quote from Jesus. Once again, I'm going to go to the Geneva Bible, which, remember, that was published in 1599, and in the same thing, verse 12 in John 14. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth in me, the works that I do, he shall do also, and greater than these shall he do, for I go unto my Father. So Jesus is telling you in John 14, verse 12, that if you believe in me, if you understand the Christ consciousness, if you know that God is in me, and remember, he also told you that you're also sons and daughters of God. Okay? That's verified. Bear with me. I'm going to go right back up to Romans chapter 8, verse 17, where he's saying clearly, and since we are his children, we are his heirs. In fact, together with Christ, we are heirs of God's glory. Now that's in Romans 8:17. He's letting you know that you are also God's children. It's not just him. It's not just, oh, he's the son of God and you're nothing, you need to worship him. No, he never said that. People, man is the one who's distorted that message. Okay? They're not empowering you by leaving that out, by selectively skipping over these passages, because once you get the true understanding and meaning of this, before, I'm just being honest, not trying to talk about me, but I'm just using this as an example. The Bible turned me off. Only thing I liked hearing about in the Bible was Revelations, because it was talking about destroying all this stuff. The Bible turned me off because it wasn't empowering. It didn't make me feel powerful. It seemed like it was a bunch of stuff happening thousands of years ago. But no, once you listen and actually understand the Holy Quran, you understand that this stuff is appealing to you. It's talking about you right now in the here and now. It's not talking about just what was taking place back then. This is applying to you right now. And it's not just about the people and places in here. Everything in there is talking about you. Doesn't matter if it's talking about a mountain or whatever. All of this is referring to you. So once you gain that understanding on it, now you can read the Bible and gain empowerment from it. So in Romans 8:17 is saying that we are also heirs of God. We are children of God and we are heirs of God. Okay? And then in John 14:12, Jesus is telling you, he's saying, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do. So if you believe in him, you believe he's the Son of God. And remember, it's telling you that you're also sons of God, you know, irrespective to gender. We're all sons of God, all of us. Okay? So we're all the children and we're all heirs of God, heirs to this vast estate. And so if you believe in Jesus, then you believe that that's true about you as well. So whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do. Okay? So you're going to do that and greater. So Jesus is letting you know this. And just because they're not telling you that in church, don't mean it's not true. They're just skipping over this for some reason. Okay? Control, I don't know. You know, people have different agendas, but it's not empowering. So it's good to get a true understanding of this. It's also good that we have these lessons that have for a while been held back from the world, right? Everything was being released around the turn of the century in the 1900s. And information was coming out of Egypt, out of India, basically out of the East. All right. And the prophet was actually in Egypt at this time. And so he received these keys so that he could bring it to his people. Who are his people? Us, so-called African Americans. And also the Caribbean, all of the people in the Americas, our people, Moorish Americans. Because he also described North, South, Central America, and the Atlantis Islands as ours. So he brought this back to us. Okay, so I hope if I'm jumping around too much, let me know. But I just wanted to bring that home because this is powerful, and this is why we can't leave this out. The people can't say, "Oh, I'm a Moor, but I'm not with the religion." Like, this is your divine creed. None of this stuff that people want to do works if you don't understand this. As we said Friday, we can't go make a land claim that this is our land if we don't know why. We have a prophet of Allah who returned us our divine creed and our divine nature, right? We are Allah and man. We are. And he, by knowing this, by understanding this, now we can go like the Jews did, going to the United Nations and making their claim for Palestine based off of their understanding of the Bible. Now we can do this. Once we come within our society, gain an understanding of who we are and move as a unit. But we have to have our own doctors of law. Like, that's one thing that the Jews do. They have their people within their community who study the Bible, who study the Torah, the Quran, and they just do religious studies. Why? Because religion, okay, the laws are based off of this. Ecclesiastical law. Everything all over the world is based off of this. And that's why in their communities here in the Americas, in Brooklyn, they have little enclaves, little communities that they control. And they make sure that they take care of their people so that a certain amount of their people can just study the Torah. Right? Because when they move and when they want to make laws and things based off of them, they have to have their own experts in their law. It's very important. Okay? And so going back to this, which I said, you know, you have people that aren't teaching this, but in John 14:12, it says that Jesus is telling us, okay, that we will do all the works that he did and even greater. Okay, so that's very important to understand. This is the message, ultimately, that he brought that gets left out. They're telling you, you got to go through the blood of Jesus and all these things. They're leaving out what's really important. His life was the message. And that we can do that, and we will do that, and even greater things. He foretold it. He's like, you will do it, not you might. He said you will, and you will do even greater things, because ultimately that is our task. That is what we are to accomplish, because we are the sons and daughters of God, of Allah. And this is our vast estate, to be the lords over all of this. All right. So in going to verses 24 and 25 in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it says he sent his son Jesus in human flesh to save the world. All right. And as I lifted from the watery grave and saved these servants of Tiberius, so Jesus will lift the sons and daughters of the human race, yea, every one of them, from darkness and from graves of carnal things to light and everlasting life. So that should sound familiar for all of us who've been studying this and doing this for a while, right? What is he describing? That's on the front cover of our Koran questionnaire. Okay, Jesus basically lifting humanity out of the cares of the world. So that directly corresponds or correlates to the Quran questionnaire. Shows Prophet Noble Drew Ali lifting the woman / humanity from the waters, the cares of the world. The cares of the world, the carnal things that get you caught up, so that it's harder and more difficult for you to reach your true potential. Okay? And how did he do this? With the true understanding of who you are. All right? And your true potential, your true mission. What you are really here to manifest the power and glory of Allah here in the physical. Okay? And so that's where your power truly is. Okay? So without this understanding, regardless of what religion people or what spiritual view people are coming from, without this understanding, anything that we try to achieve is going to be limited. Okay, going back to the Holy Quran too, we're going to wrap this up in verses 45 and 46. It says, you know that all my life was one great drama for the sons of men. It was just played out for us, a pattern for the sons of men. I live to show the possibilities of man. What I have done, all men can do, and what I am, all men shall be. Okay? And another thing that people tend to not teach when they're teaching from the Bible, they leave out Psalms 82, verses 6 and 7. Psalms 82, 6 and 7 says, verse 6, I said, you are gods. You are all sons of the Most High. And then verse 7 says, but you will die like mere mortals. You will fall like every other ruler. Okay? So remember, this is in the Bible. This is all taught in there. It's just, you know, the Bible has thousands of pages. It's very easy to skip over this, right? And this is being left out, but that's where the truly empowering information is. And that's why this is in the Quran in the beginning, because without this understanding of Allah within you and how to tap into this, how to reach this, and what your true potential is, everything that we do will be limited. Okay? It's limited. It's open to attack. it can be defeated. All right, and things that we do out of lack, you know, they're set up to fail. So truly, we have to master this first, right? Because if you master self, you master all. If you know the power is within you to control your reality, all right, now you're set up to truly succeed. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that up. Does anybody have any questions about that though, or anything they want to ask? All right, cool. I did want to read this really quickly too, just from Moorish Literature, just to give everybody a good understanding on how we approach things from a perspective of the Moorish Science Temple of America, especially from a social, political standpoint. I just want to read Political Slavery. All right. Hold on a second. Okay, it's up there on the screen for anybody that doesn't have Moorish literature. Political slavery. Anytime a man or woman fails or refuses to cast a sacred ballot at the polls, they separate themselves from all rights of an American citizen. One of the reasons I want to read this is because there's a lot of confusion about who the Moors are, what they are, whether we participate in society. I mean, it's just all over the place. So I want to bring clarity to it, okay? Anytime a man or woman refuses to cast a sacred ballot at the polls, they separate themselves from all rights of an American citizen, for surely this is the one connecting medium for a citizen to his nation. They become no more than belated beasts of burden, right? If you're not participating in that political process, you're like a beast of burden. You're here to get used and abused. There are reasons why certain classes who are more or less independent take no parts in politics, since they say they get nothing out of such in the way of material gain. This is no less than political slavery, since they refuse to voice their sentiments at the polls. Another form of political slavery, which is probably more prevalent among the less independent classes, is that of being forced into one of the major parties, and their bride, coerced, or otherwise forced to vote the wishes of someone else, regardless of their own minds. And this is where the so-called Black people are right now. You pretty much have to be, what, Democrat. It's so much to the point that this guy, Joe Biden, who can barely even talk now, right? He could barely get a full sentence out now, where he felt smug and arrogant enough to try to shame so-called Black people into voting for him. He was being interviewed by Charlemagne, the guy, and he's like, Charlemagne was saying, implying that we shouldn't just vote Democrat. We need to know what you're gonna actually do for our community. And the Joe Biden dude said, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black. They've been pushing that for decades. Decades, okay? They have people online and other so-called Black celebrities coming out and shaming Steve Harvey years ago because he met with Trump when Trump was running for president, just for meeting with him. People shaming him. It's so ignorant and foolish. Like, we voting with emotions and just everybody, because most of us don't vote anyway. Most people don't vote, period. But the ones that do are aligned with the Democratic Party no matter what, even though they've done nothing for us. They've pushed prison reform. They've pushed the private industrial prison complex on us. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton have a terrible record with our people, right? They formed these laws which branded our youth as super criminals, right? So that they automatically get harsher sentences based on the color of their skin. Right, this is we could go on and on about how crazy it is, but this is where our people are, right? And it's ridiculous. This is political slavery. So going back here, they're just coerced and otherwise forced to vote the wishes of someone else, regardless of their own minds. Before there can be general relief for the economic good of all forms of political slavery must be abolished, and every citizen must take part in his affairs in the nation. This is extremely important, and it's something that the prophet actually did in his lifetime to show that it could be done. Where he had over 3,000 Moors, I believe, all in Chicago, aligned together on a voting block, which gave them instant power. It instantly placed Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was doing this in the 1920s, in a position of prominence because he could get anyone elected. And so men of power of all races were coming to him to say what they would do for the Moors to get their vote. And that's what we're supposed to do, even now in this day and time. And so people that, I'm not even going to address the people who act like we shouldn't vote and all that, because that's crazy. This whole system is based off of our ancestors. Okay, everything. When the Europeans, the settlers, the colonizers, whatever you want to call them, when they first came over here, they were coming from a state of being in Europe where they were being ruled over by tyrants, by land barons, by nobles, and everybody was a peasant or a serf. You had people who farmed, and they had to give a portion of everything they had to whoever really owned that land. And some of them, they were basically slaves. And so they came over here and they encountered something totally different. Our people had this system running that we see right now in government, where you don't have tyrants ruling over you. You have people who are civil servants. Now, I'm not saying that everybody, like your congressmen and all that, are doing what they're supposed to. Theoretically, their title is a civil servant. So theoretically, they're all civil servants. Even the president of the United States of America is not sitting up there as some ruler who's out of control, could just do whatever they want. No, theoretically, you can get them all out of power if you want to. So what they encountered over here, you had people, different chiefs or whatever you want to call them, who were, and not only men and women, who were there to serve the people. Okay. So it was completely different than what they were used to. And so when they came over here, they wanted to get in. They wanted a piece of this. And the Moors who were living over here, we took pity on them. We respect people because we respected that they wanted to strike out on their own and do their own thing. And so we taught them our system. And in some cases, we brought them in. All right. And so the system that we have now, like, they didn't make anything like the Constitution of the United States of America. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali in his writings refers to the Constitution as one of the greatest documents ever written. And the reason he would say that is because he knows that this is based off of ours. The Constitution is based off of the great law of peace. What is peace? Peace is Islam. Islam means peace. So the great law of peace, or the great law of Islam, which was set up by the Iroquois Confederacy, which was a conglomeration of several tribes, that's what the Constitution of the United States of America was based off of. And this entire government system, where you have at the local level, you have mayors and city council, and then at the state level, you have congressmen and governors and senators, and at the national level, you have a national head, okay? All of that was based off of us. This is all still ours. We're not supposed to run to Ghana or run to Nigeria or anywhere else. We're not supposed to just give up on this system and continue to march saying our lives matter like that's gonna do anything. We're not supposed to pretend that this isn't ours. We're supposed to use this system to set ourselves up to succeed, because everything is already here for us to do that. Why? Because we built it. It was based off of us. Okay. And so I just wanted to clarify that, because you have so much confusion going on the internet, and you can't listen to any of that. This was all based off of us. We talked about this before, how you had the chief, the Asiatic chief, Tamanin, okay, and this was in the Pennsylvania area, and he was, I believe, Lenape or Delaware Moor, and you can look this up. The Delaware Indians were called the Delaware Moors. The Lenape were referred to as Moors as well. He encountered the settler William Penn, who was a European. William Penn referred to the Indians there as Moors. He said that the other colonists called them Negroes, Indians, and Moors interchangeably. Okay, so Chief Tamanin basically entered into an agreement with the Europeans that they would live in peace as long as the sun, moon, and stars endured. Okay, so the Delaware Moors and the Lenape people were Moors. They had an agreement with them. They named William Penn Mequon, which was it's an indigenous name. Okay, but you have to remember that parents are the ones that name their children. Okay, so this is what we were dealing with. We were helping them to learn how our civilization worked, and we were going to give them a place to rule here. That may not have been their true goal. Maybe they wanted to usurp what we had, but this is how we got into this situation. We taught them this, okay? And you still see to this day, they still pay homage to that. If you go to, I think, Philadelphia, they have a hall called Tamanin Hall, right? And that's a civic group where basically all the European immigrants, specifically the Irish immigrants, for years, they're coming in, they go to Tamanin Hall to learn how to live as Americans. They learn about the Constitution and the Republic. They learn about the rights of an active American citizen, how to use civics to establish and how to establish themselves within the American government. They went to Tamanin Hall to learn this, and that was named after the chief in that area. And things like this are actually hidden all throughout the nation. Okay, so all of this is based on us. We're not supposed to throw that away, but we are supposed to get active. And it actually doesn't really work unless you come within this society that was established for you, get reconnected with your divine creed, learning your true nature, who you really are, and work as a unit within your society. Okay, because, you know, as Black people, we have to remember that this is something that was created very recently. That picture that was up when people were just coming in here, you know, it says Black history starts at 1779. It really does, because this is something that the European created. They created this designation called the Negro, and they created it specifically to disconnect us from who we truly were. All right? It was just a mind game. And the system now that they were working off of, even though it's something that we developed, that we had going and taught to them, we don't even have claim to that as something that they created no more. All right? Because they created a Negro, got us boxed into that area, and now we don't even have claim to the system that they're running, right? I see we have a question in here. Brother, you got your hand raised. Feel free to speak.
Yes, I was going to ask a question as far as what you're talking about. What is it like on a individual playing field or perspective for one to do to actually get to the ultimate goal of the Moorish movement, or not Moorish movement, but just the ultimate goal itself? So like, you know, like tasks or like, you know, at like a foot, like on the ground, moving towards the ultimate goal that you know, the Drew Ali put forth. Like, what does it look like for us to do as far as specific things, you know, to kind of push towards the ultimate goal outside of the, you know, the getting the knowledge and the, you know.
Okay, I understand you clearly. All right, so yeah, the goal is not just to talk and to teach and just, we know this now. No, that's not it at all. Okay, actually, people need to join. You need to join the society. Okay, so yeah, on one end, you're learning these things, but also we're working together. We need to practice group economics. All right, we have to work together, doing the thing that I was just speaking on with the voting block. We have to actually put that into work right now in this day and age. And just like if you're in Columbus, you know, work with us so that we can have 100, 200 Moors just in our city. And then we have members in Dayton, and Akron, Middleton, even in Maryland, you know, in different areas, so that we can all do this in our areas and eventually get townships, get small neighborhoods, you know, incorporate them as towns or cities with our own town councils and things like this under our control. We have to do these things. And so the end goal isn't just to talk about this or to be online acting like we know something. The end goal is to actually to work together to build our societies, and doing it from this perspective, not doing it as the Negro, which was created specifically to be abused, which will never have rights. Never. It only has privileges. Its rights to vote get renewed every 20 years. No, to do this as the creators of civilization. And we're not asking people to accept that, or we're not asking people if this is true. We're operating as if it's true because we know it's true. We're operating from what we have, right? Just like the Jews, you know, can go to the United Nations and say, well, this Palestine, this is ours, even though they were coming from Germany and different places in Europe. They can go and do that because they know who they are. We have divine law, meaning it's coming from God. And off of this, this is our land. And this needs to be set aside for us. We can do the same thing here. You know, that may not be realistic to try to do next year or right now, but maybe working as a unit, since one of the things, part of the divine plan of the ages is to be faithful to contribute to our uplifting funds. The temple dues are only $20 a month, but that stuff adds up when you have, you know, several people doing it consistently, so that we actually have a national fund that we can put to, say we need a legal team to pursue this avenue for us so that we can get the land. Maybe we need the whole Southeast United States just for us. The only reason I'm throwing that out there is because you actually hear some people talking about that within these different reparations packages. But we can't depend on the European to give us reparations. That's what we're waiting on as Black people. But as Moors, we're not waiting on that. We can do it ourselves. And if something is owed to us by them, we can pursue it and get it done. We're not waiting. They can't turn us down. We have divine law, meaning it was given to us from God. We know our nature. This is divine. All of this stuff that we have is of or from God, so they can't refute it. We're working off of that. We are reconnected to our ties to the land. And so working off of that, and then having a national budget. And then also at the local level, having a local budget for us Moors in Ohio or wherever we're at. And then also having a national budget. We can now pursue things like all of these other nations do. Like I was saying, if we need a legal team, we can hire some Asiatic lawyers, right? Get the best lawyers to come and work on our case. Well, this is what we have and this is who we are. And they going in and doing the research and things that are necessary to make it happen for real. That's how it works. The things people are saying, trying to like flood places with paperwork and all that, nah, they're doing it and it hasn't worked. This is how we need to move, you know, as a collective. And that's why the prophets set it up, so that not only we have a government structure, but we also have a treasury, you know, so that we can hire our own people to put this to work, to make it happen. And then we're moving off of our divine connection. Like as Black people, as African Americans, you know, we were given a religion. We were civilized by the European. They called us savages, and they gave us Christianity to pick us up, right? And that's ridiculous, because as Moors, we know that it was actually the other way around. All right, and that's what we're operating off of. And it's already understood if we're moving like that. You know, nobody can refute it, but we have to be working together as a collective. We have to have our approach and everything that we do organized. It can't just be everybody out there for themselves. You know, there are people who are trying to do it by themselves, and none of them it's not working. You got people who've been trying to do it on their own for like 20 years, and nobody has anything to show for it. The only thing that people haven't done since the Prophet made the transition is work together as a collective. The closest thing you had to that was the Nation of Islam. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad died, they had several farms. They had their own like trucking industry so that they could, you know, get the food around. They had grocery stores and shops and all this, and they were working together like they had, you know, their own leadership and things that, you know, a chain of command. And it was understood this is how we move, right? The only thing is they were still operating as Black people, but, you know, they at least tried to, you know, to do what the Prophet did. And so that's ultimately what we need to do, you know, and it's definitely not just about talk. We have to work together as a collective to put it into work. The sister Douglas L says something that's true. In the Bible, in Genesis, God is telling Adam to name everything, to name all the creatures, all the plants and everything. Okay. And he's telling them this from a metaphysical perspective, because everything that he names, that's how it's going to be to him. From a metaphysical perspective, if you name something in your life as an enemy or as working against you or bad for your health, that's what it's going to be for you, because you control your reality. And so everything that you name, you own it. And so as Black people, as African Americans, no matter how Black power you are, no matter if you're a Black Muslim, Black Hebrew, it don't matter what you are, that white man owns you, the so-called white man, the European. You're pretending to be whatever you claim to be because they named you, and that started in the 1700s. You don't really go back to Egypt and whatever people are trying to claim, right? You have to step outside of that. Okay, so not only are we stepping outside of that, we stepping into something divine, because we have a prophet in the Holy Quran. In several places in the Quran of Mecca, it says that the prophet has to come from amongst the people and speaking their language. And we have that. Okay, so, and he returned our divine nature to us. He gave us divine laws. That's why we read the divine constitution, the additional laws, and the Quran, those are laws too. This is why we read all of this every time, to study it so that we know it inside and out. Because we have to know our law. We have to know what it is. And so it's divine, right? And remember, divine means of or from God. So he's reconnected us to that. The people who were undesirables, who were stateless, at that time, they was calling us Negroes, right? The so-called Negro, he reconnected us to that, to something greater. And that's what we're operating off of. Okay, so ultimately, you know, we're to have our own societies and be moving as a unit, not just every man for himself. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. I'm just talking about the organization that you're speaking on. I'm new, obviously, but the organization that you're speaking on, like I'm literally trying to engage in it, like the ideas that you're speaking of, but I'm trying to engage in the actual physicality of owning businesses under which you're speaking of, or buying up land under which you're speaking of. You know what I'm saying? Just like the head you speaking of, but like how does somebody come in and fall in place or in line with this movement that you're speaking of, and these things that you're mentioning right now? You know, I understand the idea part of it, but like I'm trying to get up off the couch and actually, you know, pull up and be like, hey, this is what we're doing today. This is what we need to attack. You know what I'm saying? This is what we need to own. This is what we, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm asking pretty much. I understand the idealism behind it, but I'm talking about how does somebody of my caliber, anybody's caliber, get up off the couch and actually engage into this, you know, the plan or these plans.
Okay, Islam. All right, there's two options for people that want to get involved and do this right now. The first one, for the people who don't want to join, like they're not going to become members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, they can still work with us on that block vote. Right here, right now, we're going to go ahead and start registering people for the block vote this year. So we're not waiting on that. And so even if, now I'm not saying you, but just anybody who's on here, they know they're not going to join. They can still work with us on that. And then in the future coming up, you know, we have an investment group right now. I mean, it's technically it's for members, but we may be able to expand it for people who's not interested in joining if they're serious about building with us. And that's something that we could move forward on. You know, I mean, we wanted it for members so that we have a common bond and trust. But if people are serious about building with us, that's something that we could do. And it's affordable. Everybody putting up money aside for the business group, more than likely, which is going to be a trust. And, you know, we'll be investing together as a collective so that we're putting our money together so that we can do greater things, buying land and whatever we need to do now. So that's one way for people who don't want to really join. But for those who want to come into the society, that's what I advise everybody to do, to actually join the Moorish Science Temple of America, proclaim your nationality, okay? Because I mean, like, I think we, all of us Asiatics should do that. We need to get out of that box that we've been put in. So come within the temple and then do these same things that we're speaking on, all right? And once you come within the temple, okay, yeah, you're learning this stuff and learning the law and all of these things too, but we're also doing the physical work that we have to do. You know, we have local goals, and then we also have national strategies. There's a government structure as far as the head is the Supreme Grand Sheikh and chairman of the whole entire temple. And then you have a Supreme Grand, that's like the president. Then you have, that's the executive branch. And then you have the judicial, which is the Supreme Grand Council, is comprised of 7 people. And they interpret the laws. They're everything that we're pushing for passing, whether it's at a local, state level, or nationally, it would go before the Supreme Grand Council, and they will interpret it from our perspective of the Quran and the Constitution. And then at the local level, we have the legislative branch, which is our grand governors and grand sheiks, assistant grand sheiks. And they make laws at the local level for the state, for the different cities that we're in. So we actually already have this structure set up. It's just waiting for more of us to come in and know what it means. So a lot of people never heard of this stuff, so they need to come in and learn it and start working with it so that we can make it work for us. Because just being honest, if there's only like, 10 people in the temple, that's not enough. We don't need everybody to come in. That's not realistic. All 60 million of us, however many of us it is, not going to join. We don't need that. Even if less than 1 million of us is on it, we can get things done. If we have like 400,000 members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we're not just the blacks coming together like Black Lives Matters or something like that. We actually have a government structure, and we're moving as a unit. We can get people elected. We can affect elections. We have power. Just that block vote is power, because all of a sudden here in Columbus, they're like, who are these people? They're registered to vote. Not registered to vote. They have a block vote. They all vote in one direction. That means even the mayor has to come to us because he wants to get reelected. Congressmen have to come to us. That's power. There's things that we can negotiate for that African Americans could never do. They can't. And I'm not knocking my people. That's who we are. I'm just being real. They can't do that. So even if it's not, we don't have to get everybody on board. We got to get some people in here though. You feel me? So even with the people who don't want to join, they can join with us on that. If they can see eye to eye on that, they can join with us and register with the block vote. And then people coming in as actual members want to understand this, want to make it work, want to proclaim their nationality. That's power. Okay, so having that many people, that's why we have to have like all the things, just like everyone else has to have security and all. We have to have all that, because with power comes all of these other things, right? People trying to bribe you and all types of stuff. So it's like legitimately, like this is different than what, everybody else is trying to do, talking about. And I advise everybody to come on in, proclaim your nationality, and do it from within the society that the prophet established for us. And then even if people don't want to do that, still link up with us now. Go on and register with us on the block vote and work with us on some of the things that we're doing at the local and national level. You know, even if you like, I'm not a Moor or whatever, who cares, man? Nobody's trying to force that on anyone, but still work with us on these things because it's going to benefit us all. All right. And that's what I say. You know, that's the plan of action. Either join or work with us on our local and national goals. So whether they want to join, can still do it. All right. And then, like, if anybody's, you know, wondering why we do this though every Friday and Sunday, it's because we need to understand this. We need to know this inside and out. Right. We not like I was mentioning earlier, the Jews, like in different communities in New York, where they get these condos that would be like $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and they make it where they not gonna charge any more than $1,400 because that'll make it be qualified for Section 8. Because they got people who aren't making a lot of money that qualify for Section 8 because all they do is study Torah, right? And so they let them get in these because they only advertise it in newspapers that's in Yiddish, so the only other Jews will know about it, and they make sure that only their people's coming in there, and they're able to get these, you know, condos and stuff that's nice, you know, just for their people, so they can get in there and study their law and do these things for them, right? Because they need experts in their religious law. All right. And like, we're the same way. We need to understand this. We need to know what it means. We need to be able to hold it down. All right. Because we're kind of starting from square one. Even though this movement's over 100 years old, it fell apart. It's still here because it wasn't a fad. It didn't disappear. You know, fads come and go. It's still here, but it fell apart. And now is the time. That's how come so many people are starting to wake up and be ready for this. Because the time is now. You know, you see all this crazy stuff happening. It's because this is the last days. You know, it's time for us to rise up. All right, so that's what I advise though. Whether you're gonna join or not, come on in and work with us. I see somebody else has their hand up, Brother Devin.
How you doing, brother?
Islam, brother, doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, this go back to referring to the topic as far as you talking about us need to vote and be a part of voting for all positions of other seats. But it seems like everybody that you vote for is, or everybody that's occupying these seats, they not for us. So that's why I don't vote, because it seems like either you voting for the devil or you voting for Satan. So it just seems like it don't be a purpose of voting, because it's not there to vote for. It's really for the people, for real. Thank you.
All right, Islam, you're right, brother. You're right. And it's like, it's lame when you hear people say to vote for the lesser of two evils. That's so stupid. You know, it's stupid. And it doesn't do anything for you. But here's the difference in that. Now, what we're doing we're not voting based off of emotions or anything like that. We don't care if the person likes black people or any of that stuff. We are negotiating in exchange for power. That's how you play the game. That's how it's done in America, and we've been disenfranchised. We've been on the outside looking in. That's why we're thinking like, well, we have to vote for this person because they're less racist than that, or whatever we're thinking. We don't do that. It's like, at first, if we can't actually put an Asiatic, one of us, in office, then okay, the candidates who have a realistic chance, okay, we'll negotiate with them. But it's not like we're doing it because I think you like black people. No, this is what I need, bro. Excuse me, you hear me? This is what we need for our community. And if you can't do this, then we'll put that other person in. And, you know, if they don't want to, if nobody wants to play ball with us, okay, fine. guess what? We'll come out with our own candidate. And at the local level, we can do that. At the local level, like at the city level, it's like, okay, if we don't have a candidate, we'll negotiate with the people. And if they can't give us what we want, then fine. We'll just put our own candidate up. And guess what? Even if we can't get them in office, that's still gonna take away votes from all of y'all. Okay? So if you want to get in, you're gonna have to play ball with us. And that's how it works. And so it's a totally different ball game if you're organized and you have a nation and you have national goals and local goals. It's a totally different ball game. Because like me just going out and voting, that means nothing. But you know, voting, and we have an actual community, and this is what we're looking for. This is what we're gonna go for. We're gonna have these councilmen or mayor or whoever it is come and sit and talk to our leadership and negotiate in exchange for us getting you in the office. That's a whole different ball game. Now you don't have to vote for somebody because, oh, I think they're good, but they're evil too. But this person is way more evil than them. Nah, it's not even like that. We're not even thinking on that level. We don't care. It's business. We will, you know, vote for those who's going to do for us what we need, period. You know, we need some economics. We need some finances. We need this and that. That's how we play. Right? Like the sister said in the chat, you know, we're not voting for Obama because he's black. We don't care. You know, but even like, forget the president, like where we're at in your cities, you know, we can affect change there. And like I said, man, if they don't want to play with us, fine, we'll make our own candidate. None of y'all getting our votes. Y'all can just duke it out. Who knows? We might even be able to get ours into office. So like they gonna have to play ball with us. And that's power. And that's how come I read that Political Slavery from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Like that's power. That's not some pipe dream. That's right here and now. We can start putting that into effect now. And all we have to do is get you Moors on board. Understand this. Know how this works from a civic level, how we do have the power to shape our reality, not just metaphysically, but physically. We have the power to change things as we see fit. You know, we can have our own community where we can police ourselves. We control the sheriff. The sheriff is the highest law enforcement in the county. So if the police feel like they can gun your people down, it's because this dude and the sheriff has to run for office. Okay? So that means we can put our own sheriff in. If we have a Moor who's on this, who understands, we can put him in there as sheriff. So like we have the power. We have to move properly. Islam. And that's where the power is though. You have to have a unit. You have to move as a unit and understand these things. So we can get that done. And then it's not just a handful of us having to figure this stuff out. We have Moors in Dallas, Moors in, you know, Moors in Florida, Moors in California, Moors all over. And then we also have a national government to handle things at the national level. So we're all brainstorming and working together. Okay? So it's not just on me or on you to figure this out. Right? We have a community, and that's, you know, that's really important. I hope that answered the question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And just in case they're thinking about the independent candidate wasn't clear, I was just throwing that out there as an idea because when we have a block vote, yes, the people who want to get in office will have to come to us to negotiate. And that we actually have that power at the local level to say, well, if they're not going to play ball with us, we'll just do our own thing. We don't have to vote for the lesser of two evils. It's like, if you're not going to give us what we need, we'll go with this guy. And if both of y'all are too stupid to work with us, we'll put our own person out there. Maybe through us, because we collect dues and things like this, maybe we even have enough money to market that person and to get them out there where they have a realistic shot of winning our own candidate. I was just saying that as a hypothetical thing, just to say that we have power. We can negotiate with the ones that's there. We can put our own person in. And I'm just saying that because they have to work with us. Nobody else is doing that as far as African Americans. You do have people that are like immigrants that are coming here and doing it, like the Muslim community in Michigan. They have their block vote. They vote in numbers and they're getting what they need. They're not suffering like our people are, like in Flint, where they still haven't addressed the water issues there, right? If it was them in that situation, it would have been done, okay? Because they're doing this. They have power. And what we have, the Moorish Science Temple of America, it's not like church. It's a religious society / body politic. Look up body politic, okay? A body politic is a nation capable of governing itself. So we move differently, right? Islam, to the brother Kevin said in the chat, to claim the Moorish nationality birthrights, to claim inheritance ownership of the Atlantis, Caribbean islands, North, South, and Central America. This is true. This is also why allegedly the prophet said that the Europeans are going to have to take up some water. They're going to have to go back home eventually. Okay? This is a saying, and that's why it would be said, because we have this, but we have to operate in our full capacity in order to make that true. Like, you can't even make that claim if you don't even know why that applies. You don't even know that that's in chapter 47 of the Quran, where our dominions are being described. Like, how does that apply to you? And then also, if you're not of that society, it's the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, just like the divine constitution that we just read is of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So if you're not of that, that doesn't apply to you. You're still Negro, black, colored, African American, whatever they want to call our people, in the future. You have to step outside of that. So and two, a lot of the stuff people talking about online, all this stuff came from the prophet. He said this stuff 100 years ago when there was no internet and it wasn't so easy to get information. And then it don't even apply if you're not a part of that. Islam, brother Devin has his hands up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel you about us being a part of, trying to play a part of their system. What I don't understand is how there isn't a lot of people sitting in the chairs of even our local government of Moorish. I don't understand that. But with that being said, it is a lot of other organizations, such as the Nation of Islam, that's saying that they want to start their own nation, and they want to set themselves from this government. I just want to know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I have love for them, nothing but love for them. The Nation of Islam came out of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We have roles that I've seen for, I think Temple 10, I might be wrong, Temple 10 or Temple 7 in Detroit. And it had the brother Elijah Poole Bay and sister Clara Poole Bay on there. And that was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his wife, Clara. All right. So not saying it to knock it, even though some people might take offense to it. I don't know why. Right. Even when the Moorish Science Temple of America fell apart, that's when the Nation of Islam came together. They started out as a law temple in Detroit, and they used to wear fezzes. They covered up all that. I don't know why, but I have nothing but love for them. Nothing but love. They can't leave out these key things though, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And when the prophet set up this religious society, he activated the body politic portion of it when he went to the Pan American Conference in Cuba as a head of state representing our people. When they established their own economy, self-sustaining, he did all of these things. There's like 6 prerequisites from an international law perspective that you have to fulfill to be considered a nation by all the family of nations of the world. He did these things, so it's already done. And the way that it was set up through Herd's revised statute, it's set up in perpetuity. It doesn't die. It doesn't disappear just because people aren't interacting or moving through it. Okay, so it's still here. It hasn't gone anywhere. So you know, that's why I said, like, if people just don't want to come in for whatever reason, maybe they're already into another group, and they can still work with us on these things. All right, but ultimately, that's why the prophet said this is our only salvation, because it's true and divine, you know, from Allah. And I guess it's easier for me to say that because I've been reading and studying this stuff, and I know that it's true, but it really is. From an international law perspective, doesn't matter how you look at it. This is real and true. All right, so you know, I say to all my brothers and sisters, from whatever perspective they're coming from, it's all love. Go ahead and work with us, even if they don't want to join. Come on and work with us. We can still get it done. You know, maybe they, as they see it succeed, they want to, you know, proclaim their nationality too. But man, that don't mean that we can't work together on the block vote and these things. And there are Asiatics that's in office in different places, and they're not really doing anything for us. They're limited, right? The National Black Caucus. How long has the National Black Caucus been in, you know, in existence with all these black congressmen and congresswomen? They've been here for decades. They didn't do anything about these police killings. They're not really putting money and economics into our communities. They can't.
Agents.
They're doing it as slaves. You have some people who are genuine, who really want to, you know, to work and do things for the community, and they're limited because they're doing it from lack. You can't do it as something that was created in 1779 to be abused. You can't do it as a black person. There's only so far you can go. Now, I keep bringing this up because it's ridiculous that, like, in Hurricane Katrina, with all of our people suffering, and you had other nations like Cuba and Venezuela offering to send water and supplies and doctors. And it is sad that the United States of America wasn't giving it to them. But it was so, because you had the media, so people in other countries knew about all of these so-called black people suffering in Louisiana with Hurricane Katrina. They were offering aid. And guess what? The United States turned it down. And then President Bush is on TV referring to our people as refugees. Like, that should have been a wake-up call for all of us, right? And I bring that up too because it's specifically in Louisiana, you had a lot of people who knew they were Moors. You had the Washita Moors and all these people who knew they were Moors at that time. This was in the early 2000s, okay? And it didn't do them any good. They still suffered just like the rest of our people. Why? Because we have to work together within our society, our government, as a collective, to build up our power structure and the protections and the things that we need. And we haven't done that yet. And until we do it, we're at the mercy of them. Just like that thing with reparations. It's whatever they decide to throw at us. That's ridiculous. We can't take our destiny into our own hands as black people because, you know, they can just turn down aid. When the people suffering, they're flooded out, dying, and they need all these things, and the government's just like, nope, they're turning it down. How come we couldn't speak for ourselves? Because we didn't have any government, because we're these lawless savage people that they created in the 1700s. They gave us Christianity. They civilized us. You can't do it from that. You're limited coming from that perspective. You have to step outside of it and be greater. You have to be more, right? That's the only way out. You know, and we can't just be hoping that it comes and that God just delivers us. God is in you, so it works through you. You're making it happen. Your deliverance, your salvation is coming through Allah in you. We have to come together and make it happen. right? It's not from some mysterious like spirit beings gonna come down here and save us. Nah, Allah's in us. We're the mysterious spirit being. You understand? Our hands and feet, we make it happen. We are our salvation. So, you know, until we come together as a collective, all of the things that we don't like that are happening, it's going to continue. You know, it's not going to stop until we make it stop. No, nobody's going to save us. We have everything that we need, and it's been here for a while. We're just now as a collective starting to understand and starting to be ready to make it happen. Islam?
Islam.
We're gonna go to the questionnaire. We last left off at question 20. If we could just read questions 20 through 30.
Islam family. Question 20. Praise due to Allah. All the Moors on the line tonight and the Prophet. Question 20. What do the 5 points represent? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It's the 5 points on the Moorish American flag. How old is our flag? It is over 10,000 years old. 22. Which is our holy day? Friday. That's when man was born. 23. Why? Because Friday is the day in which man was formed in the flesh, and it was on Friday when he departed out of the flesh. 24. Who is Jesus? He was a prophet of Allah. 25. Where was he born? In Bethlehem of Judah, in the house of David. 26. Who were his father and his mother? Joseph and Mary. 27. Will you give in brief the line genealogy through which Jesus came? Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Send Jesus to this earth to save the Israel from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nation of Europe who were governing a poor. How long has that been? About 2,000 years ago. 30. What was the nationality of Ruth? Ruth was a Moabite. Islamism.
All right, thank you, brother. We're running short on time, so I'm not gonna go through all of these, but I'll touch on a few of these. Like question 21: how old is our flag? Over 10,000 years old, right? The flag, first off, is an externalization of our divine principles. Our divine principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And these are the principles which should guide the thoughts, words, and actions of the entire Moorish diaspora, right? All the way from North, South, Central America, and the adjoining islands, right? And so for us, from our perspective, it's over 10,000 years old. And so as much as over 10,000 years ago, right, the Afro-Asiatic people were able to conceive and mentally grasp these divine realities. And then we translated them into a practical lifestyle. Okay? And so from our perspective, that's what the flag represents for us. Going to 22, which is our holy day, Friday. I'll share this with you real quick. Just Friday being the 6th day. We talk about this a couple times, but it's not just the saying. Nothing that the prophet just says is just something just to be thrown out there. Okay, so we're looking at the Kabbalah of life. Hang on a second. Okay, can you hear me? All right, so we're looking at the Kabbalah tree of life. You see how these spears are numbered: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, doesn't matter which side you look at. You see 6 right here in the middle. It says Tefereth. All right, this is the 6th realm or spear. This Kabbalah tree of life represents our reality. Up here, you're in the soul and spirit plane. And then the further down you go, the further closer you get to this realm that we're in the physical reality, till you get all the way down to Malkuth at 10. So the sixth spear, that's the sixth day. That's where we're at. Tefrith is where the spirit and the physical world meet. That's where man is right now. All right, in the sixth day. So we hold to that. And that's why on every Friday, every holy day, we meet on the sixth day. And so these are things that were being returned to us. It's important. And, you know, we don't just do it just mindlessly, right? But it's powerful. And just in holding to that and returning to these divine principles, right? That's bringing out something within us. And then it says 23, why? Because Friday is the day which man was formed in the flesh, and Friday is when he departed out of the flesh. So on that Tefrith, that sixth day, that's man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed, right? The Tefrith is where the spirit, soul plane, and the physical meet, right? So man is in the world, but not of this world, right? So I'm gonna stop there because we kind of went over our time. So I'm not really gonna go into that anymore, but if anybody has any questions before we go into closing, feel free to speak up. I see, so should we keep the day according to the Bible? No work, rest, etc. If you are able to. If you're able to, that's cool. But for the most part, make sure that you make your holy day meetings, right? Like if you're at work, you can actually, we have forums so that you can show them that, hey, Moorish American, you know, I'm a Muslim. On holy day, I need this time off. Or they have to make accommodations for you, right? Okay, so we're not just looking at it, oh, it's just the day of rest. We know that this is symbolizing where we're at right now. We're in the sixth day. We are the sixth day, all right? Spirit and the flesh. Islam. So, okay. So yeah, if you work on Fridays, it's not a problem. But if you need them to make accommodations for you or give you Fridays off or like anything like that, we can assist you with that. Yeah, but a lot of us work on Fridays. So, and a lot of Muslims anyway, period, all over the world, Muslims work on Friday. A lot of the mosques have like their holy day service at night and at day, so that all the Muslims can make their meeting. All right. So, yeah, if nobody has any questions, we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. Brother Jackson Bay, will you please read the additional bylaws, the additional laws?
Islam, praise Allah. Additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Ali. Act 1, Grand Sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses, each said temple must be by the Prophet Noble Ali. Before acting upon by any member, let it be finance, property, or any line of light that will cause the member to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2, all members are to attend their added meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As I had the power invested in my hand, and I have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members while up making a public speech must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radically against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out of your Sunday school come the guidance of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah, Islamism.
All right, Islamism. Thank you, brother. Before we do the writs, I just want to say, brother, hang on. Now, brother Ryan Dawson, would you please share your location and your email in the chat? These slides that are up here, we're going to send that to everybody, as well as registration to actually join and proclaim. So I think you're the only person that we didn't get the email for. So please share that in the chat. And Brother Cole Bay, will you please read the writs?
Islam. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is instruction from your prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, and you will be blessed for your good deeds you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of the times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Jew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confined of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good works. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world would not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islamism. Thank you, Brother Cole Bay. All right, I appreciate you. So before we close, just want to ask if anybody has any questions or anything they want to announce. All right. I do want to put out a call for new members, see if anybody's ready to join and proclaim their nationality. All right, so everybody that was on the call, if we haven't emailed you before, we're going to send you the registration and some more slides just with some important information about the census, and definitely check that stuff out. We're going to go ahead and close out. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We ask that everyone, if you're able to, rise and face the east for the closing prayer. You do not need to repeat after me. Okay, please face the east, stand up straight. Hold your arms up perpendicular, 2 fingers on the right, 5 fingers on the left. You're gonna have your heels together, your feet at a 45-degree angle. Do not repeat after me. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name and the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, Islam, Islamism. All right, I want to thank all you Moors for coming in. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Islamism, Moors.
Peace and love, Moors.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, Muslims. Remember the 12th, July 12th, mark your calendars. We're going to be up at the Serpent Mound. It's going to be our group trip in Peebles, Ohio. So if you need any more information about that, definitely contact us. Peace and love.
Peace and love, Islamism.
Islam, oh yeah, Serpent Mounds, July 12th.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Right, peace and love. Mm-hmm.